Roger Stone here. Your dollars are losing ground, but gold isn't. American Sovereign Bullion helps you protect your wealth through real, tangible assets. Through their nationwide wholesaler network, you get some of the best pricing on gold and silver delivered straight to your door. Since 1912, the U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to prove its strength. So call 844-272-2428. That's 844-272-2428. Or visit dyingdollar.com to request your free gold and silver guide. That's dyingdollar.com.
Youth sports families and fans, huddle up. Wherever life takes you, Game Changer keeps you connected. Stream games live in full HD when you can't be there. Get play-by-play updates right on your phone. And share game highlights with everyone. Full bragging rights included. Live the game like never before with Game Changer. Create your free account today at gc.com.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Lovely Rita, meet a maid, nothing can come between us. When it gets dark, I tow your heart away. Standing by a parking meter. White book in a cap, she looked much older.
Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, lots of activity happening. First off, in the Middle East, we have just gotten word in the last few minutes that CENTCOM says the strikes are over for tonight and that the hits that took place by the U.S. to Iran are about ongoing threats against the U.S. forces, international shipping. And of course, remember, Iran just about 48 hours ago took down an Apache helicopter with one of their drones. So there's a lot of activity. And President Trump has essentially said, you come to the table, or if not, we will continue the war. Things are getting very tough and very clear to the Iranians. And I'm glad to see it. It is time. It is time that they surrender. And it's also time, I think, that President Trump finishes the job. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. I applaud him for the patience, for trying to get them to the table. But clearly, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps are hardened fighters. And they're going to take, I think, a little more pummeling before there is any sign of surrender. Also, President Trump talking about Graham Platner. That is an earthquake in the world of politics. How could Democrats in Maine pick this guy? It really is incredible with all the scandals in his background, and they're just the tip of the iceberg. And in fact, tonight, John Fetterman, a Democrat, came out and said that the guy should release all his text messages on that racy Kick platform. So the Maine voters and the American voters can really see what the guy is putting out there in terms of messages or photos. If you have nothing to hide, put it out there is the message from John Fetterman. And here is President Trump talking about Graham Platner, the guy who has more baggage than an airport.
I watched that thug that's up in Maine. He's a thug. And they're trying to make excuses for him. I mean, he's worse than any human being that's ever run for office, probably. I don't know him. I don't want to say bad, but I just, look, I mean, nobody's ever had a record like that. And you'll have Schumer. He goes crazy over this or that, or Epstein. This guy. Why are they talking about him? He said, well, we don't know, but this guy's got a rap sheet. I've never seen anything like it. He's a thug. I know thugs. I had to deal with thugs. I built a lot of buildings. I dealt with the toughest people on earth. I dealt with worse than thugs. This guy's a thug. He's a low-level thug. And he's running to be a senator, to work with Eric Schmidt. Great, Eric will handle him. I think to be with Barrasso, who the hell do we have to be with Rand? Now, Rand would be very interesting with him. Rand would figure it out. He'll put him away. But this is a thug. He's a cheap, no good person. And I watch these senators, the Democrats, and, well, we don't really know. You do know. He's as bad. I've never seen a person like that run for office. And the guy from Texas, different, but he's terrible too.
President Trump weighing in, and I believe President Trump, this guy is a thug. It's shocking that the Democratic Party has gone so low. President Trump also, of course, juggling, as I mentioned, what's going on with Iran. You could tell his patience is definitely running out with the Iranian regime. And just a little bit ago, he spoke on the phone with Trey Yanks on Fox News. Take a listen to what Trey Yanks reported from his conversation. He said that President Trump was in the Situation Room when this conversation was taking place. And this is interesting. He also said that President Trump had told him that he just had direct talks with the Iranians. That's kind of interesting that he's getting that far involved, that they're actually picking up the phone and talking to President Trump. You could tell he wants to solve this, and he is going leader to leader, essentially. But here is Trey Yanks. This is interesting of the details of what was hit tonight.
Yeah, Laura, good evening. I just spoke with President Trump, who is currently in the Situation Room with Vice President J.D. Vance, along with Special Envoys Kushner and Witkoff. The president giving new insight into what is taking place as we speak. There is an ongoing bombing campaign against the Iranian regime. The president tells Fox News that 49 Tomahawk missiles were used to hit targets inside of Iran, some of them as close as 40 miles from the Iranian capital of Tehran. The president said that U.S. fighter jets are also operating over the skies of Iran, taking out radar systems and air defense systems in the southwestern part of the country, close to the Persian Gulf.
That is quite a hit, 49 Tomahawk missiles. And you can imagine the kind of damage that's doing. And President Trump then also sending a message that either come to the table or even much more is coming. You coming to the table tomorrow? If you're not, much more is coming. If you're coming to the table the next day, you're not, much more is coming. So where is this headed? Well, who better than our next guest here on the Rita Cosby Show? We have Arnold Punaro. He is a retired U.S. Marine Corps Major General, also head of the Punaro Group. In general, we love getting your perspective. How do you read these hits tonight and where President Trump is headed?
Well, Rita, I would say, based on the reporting that you just had, when you're talking about 48 Tomahawk cruise missiles, these are extremely precision weaponry, very lethal. They fly at subsonic speed. They probably were fired from a surface ship, could have been fired from a submarine. They fly to their target in a very precise way. They have what's called terrain matching guidance, TERCOM guidance, and they can fly down a street. They can make a right turn. They make a left turn. They can fly in a front door. So they obviously had some very precise, very high value targets that you would use a Tomahawk against. And it also sounds like they've got our fighter aircraft that are taking out radars, reducing the Iranians' ability to operate whatever they're operating in the Strait of Hormuz, and working against this target set that the head of the warfighter, Admiral Cooper, said right before the ceasefire. We still have about 25% of our initial target set that we need to work against should the commander-in-chief tell us to do it, if the ceasefire doesn't hold, if the negotiations don't succeed, and obviously that's where we are. So I think you summed it up very well. The president, the commander-in-chief, is basically said, and he was quoted this afternoon, they've been playing us for suckers. These are the president's own words. He's not going to let that happen. He really wanted the negotiating track. He made him a couple of weeks ago an offer they shouldn't have refused. It was the best offer they were going to get. They're not going to get a better offer. That's back on the table, it sounds like, and they're going to have to make a decision. And if they don't basically show good faith and get the negotiating track moving in a forward positive direction, then I think we're going to see the president, as commander-in-chief, tell Admiral Cooper to continue to work down those military and high-value targets that they've been taking out tonight. But that is quite a significant sortie of Tomahawk missiles that they used tonight. So this is not a pinprick by any military definition.
How do you read also the fact that President Trump is saying that the Iranian leadership, that he was speaking directly to sort of Iranian officials, that they were reaching out to him, and apparently, General Punaro, they were asking him to stop the bombing campaign. of course, it will only be stopped if they meet the criteria that they're not going to have nuclear development, that they sign on. He's saying, sign on? Okay, we'll stop. But if not, we're going to keep on going. But it's interesting that it sounds like at least the leadership is like reaching out to him immediately. But then publicly, they're putting out these very defiant messages. So it's very mixed messages.
Yeah, Rita, I'm not in a position to judge that. I mean, obviously, you and I are not privy to anything that's not made public by the White House. The president has access to the most sophisticated intelligence in the world. His negotiators were right there. But it's clear to me for some time, they've been playing for time. They've been dragging this out. To me, again, God bless that he was able to reach somebody responsible in a leadership position in Iran and thank him for really trying to do that. But they're clearly, if they said, well, if you stop the bombing, we'll come back to the table, they're playing for time there. So I don't put a lot of credibility into that. I wish I could, but I just don't. I think, again, we're going to have to continue the military and economic pressure on Iran. Again, just a day or two ago, not only did they try to kill our pilots and kill American troops, they told the Houthis to start, launching again. They told Hezbollah to start working against Israel. They've attacked the airport in Kuwait. That's not the sign to me of somebody that's negotiating in good faith.
Yeah, no, you hit it on the head. And then even last night, they were going after Bahrain, air bases in Bahrain. In addition to all of this, what do you think are the targets? If it is these, Tomahawks, we'll hopefully get a bomb damage assessment, maybe even during this show or early tomorrow, for sure in the next few hours. What do you think in terms of you would hit? Would you hit IRGC? What would be some of the main things that you'd go after? Because to me, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, these are the hardened guys. They're still in the fight, it seems. And obviously, there's still a lot of things tied to them. I would imagine their headquarters. There's so many different operational things tied to IRGC. How could you kind of really try to eradicate and level them?
I think we need to give you a job working in CENTCOM as a targeteer because you've outlined the exact targets I think they will be using the Tomahawks against.
And by the way, General, am I recruited?
Yeah, sign me up. I'm ready to go back in. These are not dumb bombs. These are some of the most precision weapons that we have, the Tomahawk. Remember, I said, and if, for example, and you and I have talked before about this, the IRGC basically skirted around like roaches and hid out, but they know where some of their command is. They know where maybe some safe houses. They can fly that Tomahawk in the front door of that house and just with not having a lot of collateral damage with other things. It's not like you go with a 2,000-pound bomb from a B-52 and that arc light strike, when it hits, it takes out everything in the area. It's not that it's very devastating, but it's not precise. And you use these Tomahawks for critical targets, particularly key targets like you outlined. So I'm hoping that's what they're doing. Certainly, I would take out their command and control. I would take out their drone factories. Obviously they've been able to basically reproduce some of the capability, thanks to China and Russia, who's been jumping in and helping them behind the scenes. Although they say publicly they're not, we know that's not an accurate reflection of what the Chinese and the Russians are doing. So take out any additional capability they've rebuilt during the ceasefire. But I think we'll obviously have to wait. But I have been impressed since day one at the way our targeteers and the way Central Command has gone against, the high-value targets and worked them down to where they are now. Our military warfighting commands and geographic commands, we have contingency plans for every single contingency that our military might face. The European Command, the Indo-Pacific Command, the Central Command, and they work on these and they update them, monthly or yearly. And then, of course, when you get the guidance that Admiral Cooper got, we're going to have this major campaign against Iran. They go in and look at that and say, okay, we're pretty good. We got about 90%. This worked. We're going to add about another 10%. So, and then the military, the forces, they train against what we call the mission essential task list for those contingency plans. Here's what our military units are going to have to do. Let's say we've got to reinforce the Korean Peninsula, or let's say we've got to attack into North Korea. Our military knows exactly what capabilities they have to train to. They know what munitions they're going to use. So this is a highly, highly professional way they go about doing this. And so they're working down those target sets, working down, the first days, it's stuff that could harm us, get rid of that. And again, we'll wait and see what the bomb damage assessment said. But when you use 48 Tomahawk cruise missile, there's going to be significant damage.
Yeah, no doubt. It'll be interesting to see. And it'll be interesting to see if they sign that dotted line or if more of this is coming.
They're not going to be signing on any dotted line, Rita. I hate to be the one to burst the bubble. But
by the way, General, I think they might, but I don't think they're going to live up to it. I don't think it's a legitimate signature. How does that sound? Or a legitimate promise?
Look, with Iran, you go back to Ronald Reagan, trust but verify. And I mean, if it doesn't have intrusive inspection, if it doesn't have some of the most intrusive ability to go in and monitor what they're doing, it's not going to be worth the paper it's written on.
That's a great point. And by the way, very quickly, we just have about a minute or so left, General, here. To your point, say they never sign it. How long do you think the pummeling will continue to them if they don't ever sign it?
Well, I think once we work down and get down to the military targets and basically have reduced any of their capability to have a nuclear weapon or to use the enriched uranium or to continue to block the Strait of Hormuz or continue to export terrorism with the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas, once they don't have that ability anymore, we don't really need to continue our military operation. Their economy is going to be in shambles. Their military capability is going to be next to nothing. I don't think you just have to keep, at some point, even though, the Japanese and the Germans surrendered in World War II, you don't need to put rubble on top of rubble.
Yeah, great point. Great point. Well, let's see where this goes. General, thank you. We always appreciate your perspective. It's so great to have you on. Thank you very much. General Arnold Punaro of the Punaro Group. Thank you very much.
Anytime.
Thank you. Really great. And everybody, I will take your calls when we come back. 1-800-848-9222. You just heard what the general says. He doesn't even think that they will sign any sort of agreement. And by the way, any agreement, to his point, he was brilliant. You got to make sure you have to verify. Can you trust anything they say? I think not. 1-800-848-9222 on a busy news night here on The Rita Cosby Show.
Get ready, Staten Island.
Tonight, the Ferry Hawks host the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars with first pitch at 6:30. Thursday, it's a doubleheader starting at 4 p.m. with Jewish Heritage Night. As for this game, the Ferry Hawks will play as the Staten Island Menches. Friday at 7 p.m., it's soccer night and kids glow around the bases postgame. Saturday at 6:30, it's Broadway night with postgame fireworks and Broadway rave. Sunday at 1:30, it's Military Appreciation Day and the kids run around the bases.
Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? All right. Bring a date, your team, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we are back here on the Rita Cosby Show. President Trump saying that the Iranians keep playing America for suckers, and America will be suckers no more. Let's go to Frank in Ontario. Line 3. Go ahead, Frank.
Hi, Rita. Love talking to you. Like I said, I'm always a listener. Been a long time.
Thank you.
President Trump is totally correct. Who cares what the Democrats think? And, I ran into a veteran today on Ottawa Street North in Hamilton, and he was saluting a guy. And I said, and he told me he was a veteran, and he goes, you know what? He goes, I talked to him. He's an older gentleman. I'm in my 60s myself, young 60s.
Hey, Frank, do me a favor, because obviously it's going to take a little bit. We got a hard out. Stick with us, and I'm going to pick you up so you can finish the story after the break.
Mommy. A Lego Duplo set is a gift that always clicks. And clicks. And clicks. For all the kids who love to stack and play, choose a Lego Duplo set. A gift that always clicks.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Pompano Beach, Florida, where first responders there dove into a canal and they saved an elderly woman from her sinking car just moments before it disappeared beneath the water. Well, one of the officers, once they got on scene, realized that time was running out as the car started sinking with the driver still trapped inside. They got into the water and they swam toward the car. Now, one of the officers shattered the passenger side window, and then another officer physically pulled the woman from the car. Thankfully, the officers arrived on shore at that time, a whole bunch of other ones, and then they helped the officers and the woman all get back to safety. It turns out that literally moments, less than a minute after they reached the shore, the woman's car entirely sank beneath the water. Authorities say the incident is a powerful reminder that training, teamwork, and the willingness to act without hesitation can save lives. And bravo, of course, to our great men and women in blue who saved that woman just in the nick of time. Well, we are talking, of course, about the situation in Iran. President Trump is fed up. He says the U.S. Is sick of it, that Iran has been playing America for suckers, and it is going to end. You could tell he's had it up to here. We're going to continue with Frank in Ontario in a moment. But first, here's a little bit more from Trey Yangst on Fox News. He spoke to the president tonight. Trey is over in Israel, and he was on with the president from the Situation Room. And President Trump said, sign or we pound you. That's basically the message to Iran. I love that. He is really giving them an ultimatum. It is time. The Iranians have been dragging this out. Remember, it's supposed to be in a ceasefire since April. Does it feel like a ceasefire? 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Frank in Ontario on line 3. Frank, sorry we had a break before, but go ahead and pick it up.
That's okay. Anyway, this veteran I ran into, he said basically what you people are saying and your guests are saying, that this has got to stop, and it's got to stop now. And God bless Trump, and God bless America. God bless Canada. I'm sure you got a lot of callers trying to get through, and I love your program so much, and God love us all.
Thank you. And Frank, by the way, thank you. It's great to have good neighbors to the north, so we appreciate it, Frank, and thanks for the love and support. Let's go to Sal in New Jersey. Sal, line 2, your thoughts.
Hello, Rita. Good talking to you again. Rita, if the Iranians don't care for their own people, how do you expect them to care making peace with the United States and with their neighbors and with Israel? And if you don't go, and if the United States has to go for victory with the Iranians, because if you don't settle for victory, you end up with a stalemate, and a stalemate is ultimately going to end up with a defeat within 20, 30 years. Because the Iranians are going to build up again.
So, Sal, let me ask you, what do you think victory looks like against Iran?
Well, let Trump and his military and political leaders do what they must do to define victory. They know what it is.
Yeah, and I think the American public does too. I think, and Sal, look, obviously gas prices are high. They've dropped a little bit, by the way, in the last week or two, so that's good news. President Trump also announced today that they got oil through, unbeknownst to Iran. I love that they've been doing all this, and Iran has pretended like they've been in control of the strait. Clearly, America has been, which is great, as we suspected, so that's good news for us, obviously. But the question, I guess, goes to how far, and also what kind of reconstituting And I feel like I don't think you can make a deal with this junior supreme leader. This is the son of the supreme leader who's now in control. And I don't know if you can make a deal when you got the IRGC there. I think they need to be really pounded to the ground for them. Right now, as we just heard from the general, and even General Jack Keane was saying the same thing, that there's about a 20 or 25% amount of targets still sort of left on the table. I think you got to use that 25% and pound them to submission. Famous moments with President Trump. Remember when he was then, talking to the Taliban? He said, when the Taliban guy said, "Oh, I don't know if we're going to come to the table or not." And then President Trump showed the picture of the Taliban's guy's house and said, maybe you want to come to the table. In other words, we know where you live. You want to see a missile come to your house? Here's exactly where you live. We've got you, of course, on satellite. We know exactly. So if you look at all those things, it could be something similar here, where I hate to say it, it maybe need to be extremely painful for the IRGC, for the few remaining, maybe not as hardened ones, to come to the table. What do you think about that, Sal?
Sure, absolutely. Because like I said before, Trump and his administration, he has brilliant military people in his administration. He has General Jack Keane, he's got Kellogg. Well, they're retired, but he's got other people, a panoply of other people.
Right, but he listens to them, to your point.
He listens to them, yeah. And let him listen to them, and let's not make the same mistake we made in Vietnam. In Vietnam, we let the politicians run the war. We should let the military geniuses run the war and let them win it.
Yeah, I agree. I hear you. And listen, they clearly have had incredible precision. And you know darn well that those 49 Tomahawk missiles that went out tonight, they, I'm sure, had very specific targets. I can't wait to see what the light of day shows, because Trump is really talking like he is fed up. So, he probably leveled some things pretty tough against the regime, because he knows that he has to. Sal, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And I want to go to Cut 18 now. This is Jim Hines, because in the middle of all of this, it's the Democratic politics. And Sal, you kind of touched on that. Senator Jim Hines of Connecticut. I can't believe this. Here he is on CNN tonight. And what is he doing? He's undermining America. When you undermine a president in the middle of a war, and we truly are in the middle of this war right now, hopefully reaching the end goal, every single American, I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on, you better be praying for success for this president, because his success is the world's success. And who would not be rooting for the president when you're dealing with a terrorist regime that just took out a U.S. Apache helicopter? Do you need any more proof? But no, here is Senator Jim Hines, Democrat of Connecticut. Shame on him. Although President Trump and others have confirmed it, that 200 vessels have moved through in secret. So much for Jim Hines. And here is Senator Katie Britt on the Republican side saying that this Democratic rhetoric is so dangerous and just terrible at this time.
Let me say this. It is despicable that we have Democratic colleagues that are actually cheering for Iran and also saying, oh, we hope this doesn't go well. That is absurd. We should stand together, united as Americans, against a force of evil, an actual evil in Iran, and look and stand with the Iranian people who need to be free from this regime.
Yeah, everybody needs to be standing together on this one. Let's go to Reggie in Texas, line 2. Reggie, your thoughts tonight.
Here, Miss Rita, for the last 8 weeks and beyond, there's been negotiating. Nothing's happened. They had a chance to ride home on the saddle. Now they got to ride home across the saddle. Talking's over. These people were kept alive so they could negotiate. They didn't negotiate. They've done nothing in a fair way.
By the way, Reggie, I love that line. I have never heard that before about the on the saddle, across the saddle. That's a good Texas phrase, and I'm going to steal it. I love it.
Yeah, yes, ma'am, and that's the case. They had a chance to ride upright. Now they're going to come home across the saddle. That there comes a point where there's no more talking. Miss Rita, they're just going to call to get you to stop. And they're going to get you to stop, and we're going to go right back to grinding the wheel down again. There's no more talking. You basically, what you need to do is you need to show them you mean business. The guys you had negotiate, they don't want to make a deal, they're off the list. Even if you end up with a custodian who cleans their bathrooms to negotiate with, that's what you do. People forget World War II. We had fanatics. People don't remember that for World War II, for Japan to surrender, we need to drop 2 hydrogen bombs on them. And even then, some of their generals wanted to continue. So it's not as clear-cut as people think. Sometimes you have to take it. War is not a good thing, but we're in a war. Let's get it over with.
Yeah, by the way, I agree with the getting it over with, that we really have to pound them with as many missiles and everything into submission. I'm not surprised, Reggie, that it's taken Iran, that they keep playing this back and forth game, just knowing the history of Iran. What is surprising, and I give President Trump a lot of credit, he has had amazing restraint here, amazing restraint. And listen, it's because President Trump truly does not like to go to war. He truly wants to avoid any sort of war that he can. And then on the other hand, he recognizes that there is a time where you got to go full throttle and you got to show your might. And he's definitely recognizing that we're sort of at that point right now, and that this is a pivotal moment. And he can't have them. He's clearly getting different messages. Oh, yeah, we're with you. I'm just talking to so-and-so, and we're just trying to come to the table. I've always believed that there may be, there probably are disparate leaders. There are probably, the IRGC hardened and the non-IRGC less hardened, if you will. But I also think there may be some coordination between the two. It's like telephone tag. Oh, yeah, I told him, and then he told me, and then blame it on the other guy why they couldn't get back that day. I mean, so I agree. There's a lot of games, and you can just tell that President Trump is fed up, and you don't get fed up with President Trump. When you get to that point where he's at the boiling point, he doesn't mince around, unlike, what was it, Biden? Do you remember, Reggie? All I kept thinking about, can you imagine if we were in this moment? President Trump believes they were literally 2 weeks away when they went in last June. Remember when they took out those installations last June because of the nuclear development there? And he has maintained, as has Steve Witkoff and others, because Steve Witkoff's his guy who's been dealing with all the negotiations, that they were 2 weeks away. So you put all of that together, and can you imagine just if it was Biden right now saying don't to the Iranian regime at this moment, don't, or if he had said just don't in June. Do you have any doubt that it would be a very even different moment right now, Reggie?
Yes, I even if his vice president had won, I can't imagine what that would be like. But it's funny you mentioned about the negotiations, Miss Rita. Now is the time to just go ahead and militarily open the Strait of Hormuz, undercut them completely, basically take away one of their negotiating legs, and then basically, this is the deal we're giving you. We're going to grab the uranium one way or another, and this is the deal we're giving you. You're going to get to live. Because if we go there, we may not kill you, but we're going to hand you over to the authorities. You're all going to be tried as war criminals. You killed 50,000 people, your own citizens. So if you want to go somewhere and get out of the fight, that's fine. You're not staying in power. We're not negotiating. We're not keeping you in power. You haven't followed anything in good faith negotiations. The minute this thing gets signed, Miss Rita, they're going to start backpacking. And it's reached a point. We don't have any support in the world. If you take inspectors and you leave them there and they say all of a sudden, well, we're not letting you in. As a matter of fact, we're taking your inspectors hostage. Do we really think the French, British, or anyone else is going to come in and say, oh, wow, this is awful. Well, we're going to go in and help you. So those days are over. There's only one sheriff in town, and he wears red, white, and blue.
Yeah, and it's got to get done right now. I love that. 100% red, white, and blue, Donald Trump. There is no doubt about that. And Reggie, that's why this is I feel like we're at a generational moment, like you said. You've got a president who clearly has the will to fight evil and understands what a threat Iran poses and has the courage and the bravery to go after them. And we may not always have an American president like that. And especially we didn't have one before this, as we know from Joe Biden. So you have to have the moment. He's the man to meet the moment. And thank goodness he has the guts to do it, too. Great point, Reggie. It's going to be an interesting next few weeks. There is no doubt about it. Maybe an interesting next 24 hours. 1-800-848-9222. And we'll continue your calls, everybody, when we come back.
Faraday presenta Ojos con Alergia y Picazón contra el jardinero. Y el ganador es Faraday Extra Fuerte. Para aliviar la picazón de los ojos por alergia, actúa más rápido y supera a Claritin y Flonase aún a las 24 horas. Faraday, adelante.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And coming up in the next hour, we'll continue talking about Iran because, boy, are things intensifying. And also, Graham Platner, wait till you hear what the Democrats are saying now. And Graham Platner out there today saying, oh, you know, it's about grace. It's about redemption. No, it's about your sleazy habits and your really potentially violent habits towards women. What about the comments about veterans, gays? The list goes on and on. It is shocking, but he won the primary last night for the Democrats. So will they keep him? And so many other stories. The Carmelo Anthony story. Wait till you hear what Jasmine Crockett had to say. She says it's all about race. That's that case in Texas where Reggie, who just called in from. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Robert in Brooklyn, line 4. Go ahead, Robert.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Well, you know, Hamas has still not been disarmed, and Hezbollah continues to attack Israel from Lebanon, and Iran continues to attack the Gulf states like United Arab Emirates and Bahrain and Kuwait and Israel and the United States. And as long as there's not regime change, as long as you say the same fanatical regime, then nothing's going to change. Now, apparently President Trump tried to do something to have a regime change, but Turkey and Qatar objected to the arming of citizens with the Kurds to try to have a regime change, and Turkey and Qatar got Trump to back down. As long as you don't change the regime, then the situation is not going to change. You need unconditional surrender, and if these people are so fanatical that they refuse to back down, then you got to get a new regime in there. But for whatever reason, President Trump is not doing the job, and from that point of view, President Trump is a total failure.
Wow, Robert, I'm surprised you call it a failure. Listen, I still think you have to be realistic that this war still has a bit more to go. It is still pretty early on. And if you look at the timetable right now, he's actually getting very aggressive. He gave them a shot. He gave them a chance towards peace. And he finally said, enough. I am not going to take it anymore. So let's see what the next few days brings.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
One summer moment can change a child's life. Through Toys for Tots Give and Go initiative, your support provides books, games, toys, and outdoor adventures that spark curiosity, creativity, and a love of nature. Whether it's fishing, learning a new sport, reading under a tree, or playing with friends, these moments build confidence and lifelong memories. For too many children, those moments never come. You can help change that this summer. Visit toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots, delivering hope beyond the holidays.